Capitalism was named such by its enemies. In this episode, I'm going to address socialism versus capitalism, which is simply captivity versus freedom. Get ready. My name's Doug Andrew, and I've helped many Americans prepare for their future financially and in many other ways, optimizing their financial assets, but also their wisdom, their knowledge, their heritage, their genealogy, leaving behind to their posterity all of the great assets, more than just the money, leaving behind really how to fish to their children and grandchildren instead of just dumping a bunch of fish in their lap. And that's why I wrote a book called Entitlement Abolition. And so I'm going to share with you in this episode my take on the difference between socialism and capitalism, which I refer to as captivity versus freedom. So when we look at these differences, you need to understand that basically speaking, socialism is more or less a philosophy where you have the future pay for the past. And if you study any socialistic governments or systems in the world, they're always requiring that the future pays for the past. We're seeing that happen right now in America, and it makes me very sad. Capitalism should have been named cooperation, but see, Karl Marx was its enemy, and he says, oh, you're capitalizing on people's needs and wants. That's unfair. When really it's cooperating. I want to produce my goods and services, what I'm passionate about doing. If I like to grow corn, or if I like to fish, or if I like to sew clothes, I just cooperate with other people. If I like to catch the fish, and my wife likes to sew clothes, and somebody else wants to grow the corn, we just all cooperate. We can trade, we can barter, we can use a medium of exchange, but we're cooperating. But so many times people go, well, that's unfair, because they want to regulate it. They want to come in, and it causes what Joseph Schumpeter called creative destruction. And that has happened many times, not only in America, but throughout the world. So Dan Sullivan is one of my good friends. He's known as the strategic coach. And I met him over 25 years ago, and I was one of his students for 20 years. So I attribute some of what I'm going to share with you based upon some insights that he gave me, and I've expanded upon these in my various books. And if you stay with me to the end of this episode, I would love to gift you a free copy of my book, Entitlement Abolition, if any of this begins to resonate with you. Be sure to click like or share with anybody who you can think maybe wants to also hear this message. So, captivity versus freedom. I'm going to super simplify this like Dan Sullivan did for me, because this is really where we get caught up in socialism and its sort of concepts compared to capitalism or cooperation. It's a scarcity versus abundant mindset. So here we go. We start out in life, and oftentimes we see ourselves as here in the moment, in the present, and we can't wait till we get there, whatever there is. So when we're young, we can't wait till we go to school, we get to kindergarten. When we finally get there, what happens? Oh, we can't wait till we go to a full day of school and we get school lunch. We get there and have about 3 school lunches and we go, what was that all about? And then we can't wait till we get there and we're the king of the school in the elementary school. And then guess what? We get demoted down into middle school or junior high. And now we're being made fun of. And we can't wait till we get there and we're the king of that junior high school. And when we get there, then we get demoted. We go to high school. Now we're the sophomore, the freshman, and we're going around. People are making fun of us. And finally, we can't wait till we get there. We graduate from high school and we know it all. I was a keynote speaker to 1,000 high school graduates that got entrepreneurial scholarships. And I was invited to speak to them on how to take that $1,000 scholarship and turn it into $1 million by using it as seed money for an entrepreneurial idea. Because I've helped many teenagers take $2, just like the parable of the talents in Matthew 25. And $2, they bought gas and oil for lawnmowers, or a flour and tomato paste and made a pizza. and then made 2 pizzas, 4 pizzas, 8 pizzas. And many of these young people took $2. In a matter of 10 years, became a millionaire by mowing lawns, by having lawn crews and so forth. So I was teaching these high school seniors how to do that. And in the audience that night, they graduate and they throw their cap in the air and they go, "We're there! We know it all!" I can guarantee you about 3 months later, they're on some college campus like this. And then they're going, "I can't wait till I get there. I graduate from college." And then when they graduate, they go, "I can't wait till I get a job. I can't wait till I get a better job. I can't wait till I get a new car and I can trade in this clunker. I can't wait till I can drive a Tesla. And then I can't wait till I get this and that and a boat and a motorhome and everything." And somehow happiness will be theirs when they finally get there. This is what I found out. Happiness is simply being grateful and happy wherever you are at. So to illustrate this, I'll usually put a triangle on the screen for my audiences, and I'll say, let's say this is humanity. And it's been estimated right now that there's about 7.6 billion people on the earth today. A lot of people think that there's been maybe 70 to 80 billion people live on the earth since Adam and Eve. Let's just use those numbers for the fun of it. Do you know, out of all the people on planet Earth today, or who have ever lived on planet Earth, most of those people would look at you and me, our lifestyles, our flush toilets that the pharaohs of Egypt would have given their eye teeth for a flush toilet, and they would say, "What do you have anything to complain about? You're already there." Yeah, we are in the top 1/10 of 1% of humanity on this planet. We are already so blessed, but we have a tendency to look at what we don't have instead of what we do have. So if we're already there and you start out with gratitude, wow, we're already so blessed. We're already there. In this country, we have some freedoms I'm going to talk about, but we are there. But I've learned that happiness should not be contingent on some future result. Is the drama in life more important than being happy wherever you're at? But I travel a lot, and I see grown adults throw tantrums while they're going 550 miles an hour through the air, and the Wi-Fi goes out for 10 minutes. And they're on their phone, and they're just like, "Ugh!" Give it a second. It's still going to outer space and back, okay? Or I see children who throw tantrums because they can't figure out how to open their second bag of Cheetos because their hands are too greasy from their first bag of Cheetos. Do you know a lot of children on this planet have never even had a bag of Cheetos? And so when you think about what is the deal here, it's lack of gratitude and perspective. We are happy because of what we are, okay? Not because of what we have. Happiness comes from producing values, not consuming values. Does that make sense? Unfortunately, many people choose to go deep into shallow things like Facebook, Twitter, social media. Ooh, I wonder what so-and-so's doing right now, and so forth. And they put everything into what somebody else is doing. I see responsible adults latch on to a movie star, a rock star, an athlete, and when they make a mistake or whatever, but everything, their political opinion, everything is hinged on that person. They worship people. We have people who worship things. You can always tell these people because they're always talking about their things. Doesn't matter how many things they acquire, it's not enough. You have the people worshipers, like I'm talking about, but then you have the thought worshipers, and they're the ones that are really sad because they get caught up in thinking, well, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably isn't true, so they ignore it. Do you know a lot of things in my life sounded too good to be true and they ended up being true? If I would have ignored them, I would have missed out. But I serve on a board of teenage suicide prevention. I volunteered with my wife for 5 years at a crisis center for teenage children who have attempted suicide numerous times. And oft times they get into their thoughts, I could never be forgiven, or what's life worth living, or I cannot choose. I don't have a choice for a brighter future. It is so sad. And all you have to do is rethink your thinking and show them that their future is spotless, instead of relying on social media. So, The opposite is also true. They choose to go shallow into deep things, the eternal life-changing principles. How sad is that? Oh, no, you can't go there. No, that's off limits. We can't talk about that kind of stuff. So what's the solution here? I wrote an entire book about it here, but let me summarize this. In life, you can choose to marinate in degrading things, which never turns out good. Or you can choose to marinate in uplifting things. And I would love to uplift you. And if you want to uplift those you care about, it's a lot easier to lift others up when you're on higher ground. Does that make sense? My wife and I have 6 children and 20 grandchildren. And so this is how we do it. We teach our children and grandchildren, be grateful. We're already blessed. We're already there. Now, what do we do where much is given, much is required? There are 4 freedoms we have in America that most people on planet Earth have never had. Freedom of time. To be able to use time as we see fit. Do you know that most people on planet Earth, they spend their waking hours just trying to get rid of the pain right down there? We have freedom of time. We have freedom of money to be able to go out and become self-reliant, to produce value and be compensated for it. You don't have to work 24/7 unless you choose. Freedom of purpose, to be able to decide every morning what your purpose is for that day or for that week. Many people have never had that freedom. They're just told what to do. And I think we're in danger of going back to being told what to do, if you know what I'm talking about. The last freedom is freedom of relationships, to choose who you hang out with. A lot of people have never had that choice. I tell my children and grandchildren, be friendly to everybody, but be very careful who you are friends with. Because who you choose to hang out with will be who you will be 5 and 10, 15 years down the road. Jim Rohn said, you are really the total of the 5 people that you hang out with the most. So if you want to have an abundant life, hang out with other abundant-minded people who look at what's going right in life instead of what's going wrong. And to be able to take advantage of these freedoms of time, money, purpose, and relationships, but be grateful that we already are there. And when we can do that, we can move from captivity to freedom. Because this is what socialism tends to put us into, is a captivity mindset versus freedom, which is capitalism. It's cooperation. It is ownership. The secret to American wealth has always been in deeds, titles, and articles of incorporation, owning. Take ownership for your brighter future. This is where we can have a great country. We can come back and be able to flourish, and everybody benefits when we do this. Let me show you how you can get a copy of my book, Entitlement Abolition. I'll pay for the book, and you can claim your free copy. Here's how. So I'm so passionate about this and many other related topics that I wrote the book Entitlement Abolition, How to Abolish Entitlement Mindset, Teach Responsibility and Accountability to Those You Care About. There's a chapter in here for business owners to teach your employees this. There's chapters in here about how to have grandpa's camp for your grandchildren, family vacations with a purpose, all kinds of neat ideas where we've been able to help our children and grandchildren, our employees, get into an abundant mindset, to have freedom and use those 4 freedoms that I talk about. So you can go to entitlementabolitionbook.com, entitlementabolitionbook.com. You contribute a nominal amount towards the shipping and handling. You do that, I'll pay for the book. I'll fire it out to you. There's also an audio version there. There's also an 18-hour masterclass that I teach about these concepts that you can also take advantage of if you would like. But if you can't tell, I love my country, America, and I want to see us flourish and be able to appreciate the freedoms that we have, and that we don't buy into a captivity mindset because we're preaching a fairness doctrine. This is what this country was built upon, ownership. And when we take ownership for our own future, for our own health, for our own retirement, we will take better care of it. When was the last time you washed a rental car? People don't wash rental cars. They wash their own car. That's why I love ownership in this great country of America.